Welcome to this powerful new video series based on the groundbreaking book, Money is an Idiot by Dr. Charles Apoki. If you've been struggling with your finances, feeling trapped in poverty despite your hard work and prayers, or wondering why wealth seems to elude so many godly people, then this series is for you. Today, we're diving into the introduction of this life-changing book. Make sure to get your complete copy using the link in the description below. When Hurricane Katrina struck New Orleans in 2005, I was surprised to see poor Black Americans looking haggard, not necessarily because of the disaster, but more from residual deprivation. They had been haggard before then in the midst of prosperity. I have traveled quite a lot in Africa and have found out that the most religious people are among the poorest. They put all their hope in God to alleviate all their sufferings. Many of them work very hard but do not get wealthy, not because God does not want them to be rich, but because they have lacked basic information and wealth transfer skills. The church has had the misconception that prayers throughout the night alone would make a Christian rich. Many in Africa cannot also manage wealth when it comes. All their backwardness is usually attributed to an enemy, witchcraft, and of course, the devil. As I flew over Doha in Abu Dhabi, I saw how they managed their oil wealth, while Nigeria squandered their own. Wealth is created, wealth is generated. There has to be a passion for wealth, because poverty insults. You don't get wealthy by wishful thinking. I also noticed that Indians, Somalis, Syrians, Pakistanis, and other Asians resident in Africa are equally religious, but they have transgenerational capacity for wealth acquisition and transfer. These skills seem traditional. So, it can be said that the Black man seeks religious escapism from facing the reality of poverty. What we have lacked in Africa are the relevant skills for wealth generation and transfer. That is why nations like Singapore, Malaysia, India, Pakistan, and even Bangladesh seem to be more economically focused than Nigeria. Despite all our economic resources, the gospel of the church in Nigeria, as of the time we became Christians in the early 1980s, was that of prosperity. And Archbishop Benson Idahosa, of blessed memory, was the champion of that era. His key statement was that his God was not a poor God. There was, however, little deliberate attempt to teach the people how to transfer the riches of this great God to themselves. Most times, it became only a slogan and an excuse for grandiosity and flamboyance without a strong financial base. This does not take away the truth from Idahosa's statement, and one cannot also dispute the fact that he was a very enterprising individual. Many pastors and Christians could not properly discern the principles of wealth creation even in ministry, so we have raised churches that are mostly known for fundraising. However, prior to Idahosa's time, the early missionaries were predominantly from Europe, and they were quite modest, and modesty was the watchword. However, the meaning of every message gets gradually lost or exaggerated under transmission and emulation. The Africans who were products of the missionaries confused modesty with docility, timidity, and unproductivity. I can see that even in Australia here, there was an unplanned attempt to associate wealth with unbelievers. Then, the majority of the rich were members of the Freemasonry and other African societies like the Ogboni Confraternity. People, particularly the educated, were satisfied with being civil servants and being less than what they could be. The educated were workers in British and Dutch firms without thinking of how to set up their own companies. Many Christians then felt that business was for the uneducated. So, until recently, a lot of the rich people were not graduates and were nominal Christians or traditionalists. Many of our early pastors were not entrepreneurs or practicing professionals like lawyers, doctors, engineers, or businessmen. And since you can't give what you don't have, not much was taught about business. The term full-time ministry became confused with full-time ministry. The mistake of thinking that there is no commercial wisdom in the Bible made us not tap into the ministry of the business persons who were anointed for the business arena. There was a clear boundary between church and secular work. But later, it was found that there is no clear distinction between the principles of how a ministry is grown and how a business is grown. Lately, the church in Africa is waking up to the reality that we are poor, not because of the devil alone, but because of lack of vision and wisdom. God has graciously used me to affect many denominations and congregations around Nigeria and in several nations. I have tangible results from my lectures and mentoring programs for Christians. I also have found that these principles work very well in diverse communities. Thank you for watching this introduction to Money is an Idiot. As you can see, this book challenges many misconceptions we've held about wealth, poverty, and God's will for our financial lives. Dr. Apoki's observations from around the world reveal that the problem isn't spiritual warfare alone. It's often a lack of practical wisdom and wealth-building skills. In the coming episodes, we'll dive deep into the specific principles and strategies that can transform your financial situation. If this message resonates with you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Share this with others who need to break free from the cycle of poverty. Most importantly, get your complete copy of Money is an Idiot by Dr. Charles Apoki using the link in the description. This book could be the key to unlocking your financial breakthrough. Until next time, remember, wealth is created, not just prayed for.